Hi. I went earlier today to the cinema to see Reminiscence, the new film written and directed by Lisa Joy, one of the co-developers and showrunners of Westworld. The film is a similarly themed science fiction set sometime in the future after the water levels have risen and Miami has been flooded. Hugh Jackman plays a former sailor who fought in the Third World War, which is alluded to vaguely a number of times, who now uses technology originally invented for interrogation that allows people to relive their memories as they seek refuge from the mean modern world in nostalgia and the past. But he has become obsessed with an ex girlfriend of his who suddenly walked out on his life and tries to use this technology to track her down. Um, it suffers, I think, the same fate as the other films that are, one could argue, Christopher Nolan adjacent, which is that it's really not very good. Um, Joy is Nolan's sister-in-law, married Jonathan Nolan being the co-showrunner of Westworld, and this has some similar preoccupations as Nolan Senior's other work, particularly Inception, with its water motif in the background, constantly, and ideas of memory and the past being a kind of trap and the landscape of the mind. But really, the science fiction is just trappings for a very rote film noir storyline. There's a femme fatale, there's a gumshoe out of his depth, there's the secretary who's in love with him, the, uh, the real estate tycoon who has a dark secret, and uh, it's all just very familiar to the extent that I was guessing bits of the story about 20 minutes before the characters were figuring them out, as though there was some great revelation. When I thought, well, no, this is a cliche. This thing that you've suddenly realised is old hat, and very much so. Um, the concept of the reminiscence machine never really pays off, and I felt that there really isn't any need for this film to be science fiction at all. You could have made this with a 1930s setting and had the main character be a hypnotherapist, with characters recalling with perfect clarity memories from their past, and it would work exactly the same way and arguably be more satisfying because it would give some real emotional engagement to the characters and not let the technology get in the way. Most of the characters are written very thinly. Hugh Jackman in the lead role has really very little to work with. It's a very flat, uninteresting character. The same with Rebecca Ferguson's femme fatale is just pure cookie cutter. It's really only Thandiwe Newton as the sort of associate slash secretary who has more variation in her character, has more sides to her, and as a result gives easily the best performance in the movie. Even though there are some scenes with very poor quality makeup effects. Um, there are some interesting ideas here, like people being trapped reliving the same memory over and over again, for better or worse. But even the whole idea of the waterlogged future with walls going up to keep the waters out, and there's a dam at the end of the street, and the water is 3 stories high, and it's not going to be long before the whole place is permanently flooded. This has nothing to do with the story. It's just scene setting. And as a result, I was really engaged by the world created and the scene setting and the haves and the haves nots and the, the, the city of engulfed buildings and all of that. All of that really engaged me. I thought that was a really fascinating world to examine. But the actual story is boring and uninteresting and predictable. There are a number of odd goofs in the story, like characters identify a city from a bar that they've never seen before. So, oh, this must be New Orleans. We see a memory of the inside of a bar. At one point, Ferguson's character mentions that, oh, she sings in a nightclub wearing a thrift store dress. The dress looks like it costs hundreds of dollars. It doesn't look like it's from a thrift store. It looks like it's from a haute couture fashion house and is brand new, and probably was. Um, Rebecca Ferguson doesn't really convince as a nightclub singer either, and it just seems to be someone's idea of an echo of film noir, as though they're pastiching these tropes, but really they're just reusing them, pasting them into an interesting setting, and hoping that the setting will elevate the story. And it doesn't. I've had a look at the box office returns for Reminiscence because it's opened in the US the same day as in the UK, and it has massively underperformed. It was already not predicted to be a significant success, as it's kind of a hard sell. It's opening at a difficult time of year. It's opening at a difficult time generally, and also it's streaming on HBO Max in the US as well as being available in cinemas. But it's massively underperforming. It's lucky if it's going to make the top 10 in its opening weekend. It's an unqualified disaster commercially and critically. I can't really say it's that much better.